Good evening, everyone. I'm going to talk to you about Padlet today. Padlet is a great resource, a great tool to use in your classroom. Uh, there are lots of options for making it. You do have to make an account. There is a paywall for some of the stuff you use. And you can make an education account and you can make a personal account. So when I go to settings here, you can see I have a gold education account and I have a personal account. And so my personal account, obviously, you would see stuff that I've done for grad school and different things like that. But for my gold education account, that's what I would use for my classroom. And to set that up, here are my members. This is where I would add students. This is where I would set up the classroom permissions, things the students can do, things the students cannot do, content they're allowed to see. And then your billings, you're able to see here that a classroom where you get unlimited Padlets, you can have 2 teachers and 100 students is $160 a year. That can be a lot. The personal one is a little cheaper, but you can't, if you don't want them to have accounts, of course, you can share Padlet and have them edit on it without them having to have an account, which is really nice. And so if you wanted, so I'm going to go out and I'm going to show you kind of how to do all of that stuff. So to make an account, once you're logged in, you're going to see your profile picture there. You can always go to that, or you can go and click the Padlet stuff to get back to this page. And this is the main page to make your Padlets. When you click home, that's going to take you to Padlets that you've already made. When you are clicking through and you want to make a Padlet and you want to start from scratch, you go to make. And so making a board to collect and organize content. That's kind of the main ways that Padlet is used. If you want to see examples of that stuff, you can click examples. It's going to pop open and you can click through this and kind of play around. I'm going to show you how to make a timeline and a map activity, because that's what I really would use for social studies with that content in mind. But any of these are very great, and I've used all of them. So to start with, we'll start with the timeline. And I've already made a timeline, but I'll show you what it looks like when it first starts. So you would click on here, and then you're going to come over here. You're going to name it. So I would name it Events of the American Revolution. I still spelled that wrong. Revolution. There we go. And I'm going to make sure it's on timeline, and then I'm going to click done. Now, if I want to change, because this background is brown and ugly, I'm going to go to settings, and then here I can change the wallpaper. So I might pick just kind of whatever, if you want it to fit what you're talking about. So I got my blue stars to represent the American Revolution. So this is where in settings you can kind of play around with the different stuff. You can give a description, you can change the icon to fit your topic, and then again change your layout to fit whatever you would like it to. So to share it to students, to have them be involved, you want to go here to permissions and change this with visitors with a link. They can be a commenter. So visitors can comment on posts and add reactions. And to give them that access, you can use a link, you can use a QR code. You have lots of different options. And so when students are on this page, what you choose to have them do with it is up to you. You want to give them instructions. You want to tell them this is, whether they're in groups, whether they're by themselves, that's up to them. So we could say, for this post, we're going to do the Battle of Bunker Hill. And then I would say, okay, now you need to go in and you need to add a picture. So you can do that. You can make an upload. And so click all tools, and that way you can really see everything. So they can put a link in, or you can put in something from your Google Drive. You can put something in from your OneDrive. You can look up images so they're not all over the internet, GIFs, YouTube videos, all kinds of things. And they can type in a post. And that's really what I think is important, is not only can you require them to, maybe they have to find an artifact or a primary source and they need to put a link to it, or they need to have a picture that represents the event. They need to explain what the causes of the event were, what the effects were. If it's a battle, maybe what what effect it had on the army for both sides, etc. And to have those instructions, you can put those in your own kind of post on here, or you can have them on Canvas. You could put them on paper so they have it. If you use an IMB, here are the instructions for this paper, and then you need to kind of fill it in first before you do all this typing. And that can help with AI if they're just copying and pasting, because they had to write it down first. Okay, so that is the timeline. Then to get back out of this, again, you can hit Padlet, or you can hit your icon over there. The next thing I'll kind of talk to you about is the map. The map is, I've already made one of these, but it's the same concept. You click one, it's going to make it. You can change the different ways that the map is shown. So I'll just show you that real quick. When you go to settings, see, you can click map style. And then you can do a map like that. You can do a map that's gray and white, etc. And so I'm going to show you one that I've already made. And I did one, the 13 colonies. And so for the 13 colonies, I would require students to pin a 13 colony, and they need to pick one. So they need to get here to the United States. And then to post, they would click the post button. And then you can search by name or place, but I will say that I did this a couple of times and there was a little bit of a glitch. But the drag and drop is easy too. So I would just take it. I'm going to drop it here on North Carolina. And then I'm going to click North Carolina. And that's going to pop up. So again, you can require them with instructions. You could say they need to have a picture. They need to have a primary source. But also, I would probably have them do what was the economy, what were the religions, what was the social structure like, and the different categories to break it down. What section of the colonies, what region was it in? Was it in the southern, was it in the middle, or was it in the northern, the New England colonies? So lots of stuff to play around here, lots of stuff you can do. You could also do the triangular trade where you're tracking it through here. You could do the Columbian exchange and then require them to write out the different exports and imports. You could, when you're talking about American imperialism, the different locations. I know that I use a paper map where they have to find the different places for American imperialism. So you have Alaska, you have Hawaii, you have down here at the Panama Canal. So just lots of options that you can do with the map. I really like this, and I really like the timeline as well. So I'm going to go back out here. So those are just some examples of those make Padlets that you can do. So again, I'm going to go to make, and I'm going to show you some of this stuff. So again, some of this will be behind a paywall. You can't use everything that's on the screen that Padlet offers unless you update to some premium stuff. So it might let you look at it, it might let you go through it, but to actually make it and share it, it may require you to pay. So the whiteboard you can share, and then you and your students can write things together. So you could put cause and effect. So write your causes here and your effect here, and you can add as many as you need to, and then you could have different events, right? Let's see, you can also do brainstorming webs. And again, you can share these with students and have them interact with them. Have them work with other students to type it in, and then explain it to the class. You can have presentation, Venn diagram, question of the day. And again, it's going to show you some examples if you're struggling with how can I use this. And it has, here's math. It has a flow chart, a reading reflection where they can go through that. You can upload the text and they can put sticky notes as a way of annotating. The water cycle, just lots and lots and lots of options to really work through learning. So you're not just, here, make this pretty Padlet. No, I need you to actually be interacting with others, and I need you to be taking that information to the next level so that it hits the pedagogy. It hits TPAC. It's hitting all of the pieces of that. All right, so next, again, you have all of those there. Then, of course, you've got the AI recipes where it will help you make that. Lesson plans, class activity, discussion board, And I encourage you to go through and kind of look at these. I'll show you these recipes down here where you can pick the level, the grade level. You can pick the subject, the content area, and then it's going to give you, so we can look at analyzing primary sources. It's going to give you an idea of how to use it that's already been made. You can go to, you can use, let's see, we have a compare and contrast. We have an exit ticket option. We have global conflict map, global timeline, lots and lots of stuff, historical figure biography, historical social media. Okay, so it has lots and lots of ways it can be used. You just really have to explore it to understand how to make it work in your classroom. But it's really got a lot of options. I really do think it's worth the cost. And again, just to click along up the top here, this, when you, so home again takes you to your Padlets, gallery takes you to the recipes, learn takes you to where if you don't know how to use Padlet or you need help, that's where you're going to go and find that information. And they're all short little videos. To join a Padlet, you would click that. And then the new thing that I've kind of been looking at is this arcade. And it loads games. So some of these games are pretty simple. Like, for example, I did this Causes of the Civil War. And each one, and I click play. And each one was basically the same one, and it was all like the first box, and then none of them changed. But I guess you could create a copy, and then you can go in and I'm sure change the settings of that. So it's very cool. It's always great when you can find different games and different things for them to do, especially for early finishers, especially for if you have review periods and things like that. So then they have matching, they have multiple choice, flashcards, lots and lots of options there. Okay, and then when we come back out, we go back to Padlet. And you just really have to play around with it. If you want to get started, it'll walk you through that way, etc. So yeah, that is Padlet in a nutshell, and I think it's a great tool and a great resource.